Yeah, but she's a perfect example who cares about the camera.
That wasn't true. Is she a great
Nothing.
She's a great politician. Let's celebrate that. Is she a bad manager? 100%. She's terrible. They're both true.
So if she was a business,
I wouldn't.
would you pass? Or would she on Shark Tank?
Let me be specific.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let her manage a candy store.
Wow. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get the merch link in the description section. Shady Bunch. Get you a shirt. Shady 20. Get 20% off. The link is in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. I want to talk about this clip, Kevin O'Leary. It seems like every time we post a clip of Kevin O'Leary, it tends to do well because I think Kevin O'Leary has a lot of respect in the space of finances and, you know, having the authority on some of these topics. Given the fact that I think he's probably close to a billionaire. I know he's sold $1 billion worth of companies and invested in all this other stuff. So I want to play clip 9 where Kevin O'Leary is just blasting AOC.
I look at AOC, what an incredibly successful politician she is, and what a horrific manager she is. Her jurisdiction looks like a third world country. And yet she's great at social media and making outrageous statements and getting $5 at a time on, you know, every way she can on social. Good for her. But wow, look what she did when Amazon came knocking for 10,000
Yeah, that
jobs.
to me blew my mind. How does that you survive?
So why would you want to reward that? Why wouldn't you say, excuse me, could I get better management, please? I live here. I pay taxes here, and I'd like a job. And I don't think you're doing a great job for me as a manager. How about I hire somebody else? That's what I would encourage. Not that she isn't just great as a politician. There are countries that have weak leaders. There are states that have bad governors. I think the great thing about democracy is say, we can do better. Right. Putting up my head, let's do better.
You think as you talk, I get this, it's not personal, it's just business.
Just business.
But everything is personal now.
No, not for me.
I mean, what you did right there is you gave her a compliment in terms of her showmanship and how she does well on social media, and she used her platform, and then you criticize the deed. You're like,
she's
you lost.
Manager.
Yeah, you're not, and that should be. But
which
that
one
makes you. There's a lot of words I could throw.
No,
I agree with you. I'll say it with you. I'll say it. I don't. I'm like, who voted for this? And you can see it across the board. You can see it doesn't have to be AOC. You could take it super Republican guy.
Example.
Yeah, but she's a perfect example who cares about the camera.
That wasn't true. Is she a great
Nothing.
She's a great politician. Let's celebrate that. Is she a bad manager? 100%. She's terrible. They're both true.
So if she was a business,
I wouldn't.
would you pass? Or would she on Shark Tank?
Let
would she
me be
specific?
Yeah. I wouldn't let her manage a candy store.
Wow. he said a candy store. God dang. AOC couldn't manage a candy store. And I agree with Kevin O'Leary on this because some people, listen, I disagree with Kevin O'Leary on the fact that she is a good politician. I don't think she's a good politician. I think she's a shady politician. I think that they engrafted her into this situation and they selected her. From what I heard, they did a casting call for people to be in that position as a politician. And they rated them on likability, how they look, how they speak, their energy. Like they had to audition, and they found somebody that can pull the heartstrings of people and get put into power. I don't really think people are happy with AOC. Maybe I'm tripping. I do see that she's very popular. I do see that if you're a mindless idiot, let me not go that far. If you're an ignorant person and you do not have wisdom, integrity, or you have not done any research on your own about the actual issues, I can see how people could be convinced to think that she knows what she's talking about. I mean, she gets on the thing and she was talking to a guy. RICO is not a charge. She don't even know what RICO charges are. She has no idea what she's talking about, but she approaches it false bravado enough so where she actually looked like she believed what she's saying. And somebody like Kevin O'Leary can see right through that as a businessman. I don't like people like that. I don't need you to be quote unquote charismatic, crying and bluffing when your job performance is terrible, when your understanding of the issues and the topics are terrible, What happens to a lot of very charismatic people is that they rise to fame very quickly, but they have no independent thought, which means that they don't have experience enough to process and think through a certain topic and let that topic, and they express related to that topic something that's independently thought up on their own. Versus they get so famous so quick off of one thing, two things, three things they've said, and then now they got to parrot ideas. Because if somebody asks you, what do you think about the war in Israel? They have never been to Israel. They have never thought about it. They don't even understand the conflict. They have not consulted with anybody. They don't have the life experience. So then they have to say, oh my God, what is popular amongst the people that are on the left? Free Palestine. There you go. Free Palestine is the thing. They live in an apartheid state. They're being oppressed by the Israelis. Let me take that point. Okay, what does X and Y person say about this? Okay, when I go before Congress, I'm going to say what they said. That's not an independent thought. That's like a person walking around and listening to Fresh and Fit all day. And y'all have no idea who Fresh and Fit is. It's a couple bozo the clowns on the internet talking about relationships. Two single dudes who are on dating sites. One called Seeking Arrangements, which means that if you got money, you can pay these girls to date you, or they looking for a man that's going to trick with them. And they're telling other young men about relationships. And you listen to Fresh and Fit and you parrot what they say. So your young man is asked the question, hey man, what do you think is the biggest problem with women today in the dating pool? Oh, every woman, they just body count. And people just parrot versus saying, I'm a 30 or 40-year-old man. I've been married for 20 years. Of course you would have to be 40 to be married for 20 years. I hope so, because you couldn't get married at 10 if you're in your 30s. Anyway, say you're a 40-year-old man. I've been married for 20 years. I've had all this experience. So let me tell you about what it means to maintain a good marriage. What is the do's and don'ts being in a dating world? If you're 50 years old and been married for 15 years and you've been dating the years prior to that, that is someone coming up with an original thought because of your personal experience. And of course, you're going to read material and you're going to become educated in certain things, but it's a difference, and you guys will see it if you pay attention to a person long enough, that some people do have experience and some people are just parroting what other people say. Police officers just killing black men for no reason. Okay, where's your stat? Where you get that number from? What example do you have? They have none because they're parroting something. Sex and gender is not binary. You're like, where did you hear that from? What scientific evidence do you have that suggests that sex is not binary? Where do you get that from? Oh, you heard somebody else say it. This is one thing that I noticed too. There's a guy online, forget his name, man. He has a beard. He always wears a black shirt, and he's talking about health and fitness. This guy, when he speaks about health and fitness, he's so articulate and is meticulous in the way that he says things, the way that he presents a tactical approach to fitness and health and wellness. The guy is on point. When you listen to him, you can tell that he's done the research. He's read the books. I mean, all of the above. You're like, God, I'm learning so much from this guy. And then you see another person and you listen to that person. And you say, wait a minute. He's mimicking what this guy said, because he's talking about these things in a very summarized approach and not as thorough as the other guy was talking about. So all he did was listen to his videos and then regurgitate. There's another point I was going to make. It's another example of that very thing. It's like when you go to school and you have a book report and the other classmate read the entire book, and therefore they know what the chapters are talking about. They know who the characters are. They've looked through it. They thought about it, versus the person that just read the back of the book. When those two people have to then explain what the book is about, the person, unless the person that didn't read has this amazing amount of charisma and whatever, but generally speaking, when you hear the explanation from the person who read the book, they are going to expound upon details that you could only know and retain if you read the entire book. And then you have the person that read the cliff notes, or they read the back of the book, or they read the first chapter and the last chapter. They are going to say very shallow-ended things. They're going to speak of a character with no deep thought and reflection on the character. And that's how politicians are, if you pay attention. Hold the phone.